Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and look at all these goodies I have to share with you today. This is the latest Tonic Studios kit, and it's packed because it's a celebratory one. These are olive green stars and festive gold circles. This is sheen confetti. There's a hybrid pad called Carrot Stick. There's a beautiful set of glitter drops, and this one is called Ruby Slippers. And there's also a full-size Nouveau Vintage drops, and this colour is Colonial Blue, and these are a really soft baby blue. I've taken this sheet of white and black card to show you how those drops look on both of the different colours. The ruby one, you can see it shows up as shimmery on the black and coloured on the white, and then I've inked up one of the stamps included in the kit, which I'll show you in a moment, using the carrot stick so you can see that too. Now these are called Balloon Trio Shakers, and these match with one of the dies that you get in the kit. There are 10 of these, it's a very generous amount, and these can be filled obviously using your confetti if you choose, but I'm going to show you another way that you could use these and decorate them. As always, there's a nice range of cardstock, and to go with them this time there's a 6x6 paper pack. This has got 24 sheets in it, and I'm just flicking through so you can see the different colours and the different designs. The special birthday celebratory treat is this voucher, so when you spend in the shop you can use your voucher to get a 10% discount. Let me show you how to prime the glimmer marker. Shake it up and down, and then you see the nib is white. Press this up and down gently on a piece of card, and then you can begin to colour with it. On the black it looks like a silver shimmer, and on the white you see the colour of the wild lavender. In the pack there are stamps, and these are all related to happy birthdays and celebrations, and there are some little strings to go at the bottom of some balloons, which I'll show you in a moment. And these are the dies. I've cut these out so you can see what you get, and even in the tiniest little die just beside my hand you can see that you get those twirly whirls and you get stars, and there are some words, celebrate and happy and birthday, and they also have a mat to go underneath the words. This is the die that you need to create your easel card, and then there is an insert that is also a die as part of the kit, and there are some really useful circles. These are very good for matting and layering, and I'll show you a couple of ways that we can use these. And these are the dies for the balloons. You cut the balloons out, and then you can add the strings. I'm using a plain black ink just to show you that this is how you would add the strings to the bottom of your balloons. It's a really nice addition to the kit. These are the Balloon Trio Shakers, and they have an adhesive back, so the idea is that you would put your cutout cardstock over the top and then you would adhere them to your project. This is our first card. It's going to be a very plain, very quick card because we've got some complex cards coming up later on. I've cut down some of the red glitter card. I loved this cardstock, it was beautiful. And I'm using some washi tape to make sure that my large die and my circular die are aligned correctly. You can save that little piece around the outside for cutting out some of the stars perhaps, or some of the words. And when we break it all apart, this is what we get. And I've used the extra little twirls and stars to add detail around the outside. I love that this die is in the shape of a box, and using these extra little bits and pieces we can really make the box seem as if it's expanding out into the card. I'm going to use some glossy accents because I want to add some extra detail using my festive gold circles. So I'm adding glossy accents into the centre of the balloon. Hopefully you can see the shimmer there. And all I'm going to do is sprinkle the gold confetti into the balloon, and it will be attached. It will glue onto my glossy accents. I'm going to do the same with the other balloon as well. And now I'm using a pokey tool just to make sure that any little bits of glitter that stick outside of the balloon are contained and pushed back within the balloon. And that is our first card complete. For our second card, we're going to make an easel card. To do this, you need to cut out 2 of the large dies. One of these pieces will fit on top of the other, and I'm just cutting away that little extra tab because I don't need it. The way that this is constructed, you fold the piece of card over and then take some glue, run a line of glue along the tiny little tab, and then protect underneath with a piece of waste card. You glue the next piece on top. And when you take away your bit of protective white card, you can begin to construct the design. I've used a parcel die to cut the shape from the red glitter card, and I've also run through my die cutter this piece of cardstock from the paper pad, again using the parcel. I'm going to pop out little pieces from the yellow paper and I'm going to put them back into my red glittery die cut so that I can really highlight the elements that surround the parcel, the balloons and the banners and the little flags and the stars. I'm also going to die cut the word celebrate from the red glittery cardstock again, and I'm also going to cut a mat for this with the corresponding die, and I'm going to use the yellow paper to do that. So I'm keeping my colours all really tightly coordinated. Pop some glue on the back of your hand. If you've got something really intricate that you want to stick down, then dip it into the glue and position it on the thing you want to stick it onto. I've cut a circle using 2 of the dies from the yellow cardstock again, and I'm going to glue around the inside of this just some little dots so I don't have too much glue to splodge out, and I'm going to stick that down into the centre of my my red glitter circle. And then when I add my word, that's my front design complete, but there's more work to do on the base of this card, and this is where the easel cards are so fun. I've cut down some thin strips of craft foam and I'm adding these to the reverse of the word that I cut out and layered up earlier, and I'm going to decide where exactly I want this to go. This has 2 uses. It emphasizes the celebrate message, and it also will hold the easel card up so that you don't have to worry about it falling flat when it's presented. It will stand up really beautifully. I'm also going to finish this card with the Ruby Slippers glittery dies. Now, although these appear to be pink, when they're on the card itself, they actually come out really nice and shiny red. Our next card is complicated. Good luck, everyone. To prepare, I have 4 layers of the parcel die cut, and I've cut these out from the center as well using the largest of the circle die cuts. The final one I'm showing you on the top in yellow has been cut the same way, but I've used the smaller of the circles. This is important. I've also used the largest circle to cut out a piece of the packaging. This is the packaging that the dies came in, and this circle will sit inside the aperture in the center of the yellow parcel die cut. I've prepared some stars from the green mirror card and the sentiment. I'm going to layer up the first of our 3 die cuts, one on top of each other. To do this, I'm using a fine nozzle glue applicator, and I'm adding dots of glue to my first piece. I'll add the second piece on top, and I'll make sure that it's secure. The liquid glue allows you a little bit of time to make sure everything's properly on top of each other and there are no colours showing through from beneath. And to this I'll add my final layer of yellow. So now I have 3 layers glued together. They're quite robust, and this is my yellow layer that has the wider circle in the centre. I'm going to add a little line of glue onto the inside of this, and I'm going to glue down the piece of packaging perspex that I cut out using my large circle die. And there we have the aperture prepared for our shaker card, because this is going to be a shaker easel card. And now I'm gluing that down onto my bottom 3 layers, so now altogether I have 4 layers. I've got some craft foam and I've cut down some really thin pieces of foam, and I'm going to add a line of glue to the inside. So we're working from on the reverse of the card now. We're gluing this to the inside of our top layer, and I'm going to use the craft foam to stick down on the inside. Now, craft foam is fabulous for this because it's so bendable and you can really get it exactly where you want it to be, and of course you can cut it to the size you want it to be. To hold it in place, because we never have enough hands, use a stamp block as you go around the rest of the circle. The beauty of this is that this will create a space into which your little pieces of confetti can sit, but the rest of the card, the rest of that parcel, because it has the 3 layers of cardstock or paper stock, will actually glue down directly onto your card. So you see there's depth in there for the confetti, but it will lie flat on your card when you glue it down. I really hope I've explained that clearly. Now to add a final layer. I'm doing tiny little glue dots again, and I've cut out a piece of the green mirror card and I've glued that onto the top. I've taken a piece of the yellow paper from the paper pack, and I'm going to use this to hold my design together. I'm going to glue my layers onto that, but before I do so, I'm going to use one of the sentiments that says happy birthday, and I'm going to use the orange carrot stick ink pad, and I'm going to show you a way to apply this that doesn't rely on using a stamping platform. Oh, and Buster says hi. With the die in position, hold the stamp above where you want it to stamp. Don't move your right hand. Remove the die and then stamp down. That way it will fit in the center. And once the ink is dry, I can add my confetti. I'm going to use the gold, and I'm also going to add the green. The colors have been chosen for this card deliberately to allow me to do this. With the confetti in place, I can turn over my top design, and I'm going to add a line of glue around the inner circle and some dots of glue in the wider parts of the design. Then I can turn it over and I can glue it directly onto my yellow paper. To hold this down while it all dries, I've got two stamp blocks and I'm just going to position them over the top of it. While that dries, I can prepare my sentiment, and I've got a thin strip of craft foam that I used earlier, and I'm going to glue some of that onto the reverse of my word celebrate. I've got the second part of my easel card from the yellow cardstock in the kit, and I'm going to use that to attach everything. I'm running a line of glue across the back, and again I'm protecting the underside with a piece of scrap paper, and I'll glue everything directly down and hold everything in place while it glues with the block again. Finally, I just need to add my sentiment. I'm doing this in the same way as I did before. I'm going to pop it onto the front of the card, and then I'm going to add tiny little glue dots, and I'm going to take the green mirror card stars that I cut out using the dies, and I'm going to glue them onto the base of my card. And once they're all glued down, and they've all dried in place, our card is complete. And I think that's a really fun easel card with the shaker. But let's do something a little bit simpler for our next card. For this card, we start with the balloon trio shakers. Obviously, you can fill these with the confetti, but I thought I would show you something different. So I've used the vintage drops. These are the ones that are called Colonial Blue, and I'm adding these to the inside of one of the balloon trios. Then I've got my wild lavender pen, and I'm adding little dots of lavender colour on the inside, and when I turn it over you can see it's dotty spotty fun. We're going to use a blue base, and this is a card that I've cut using the cardstock in the kit. I've also cut down some of the paper pages. I'm positioning these so that I can see where I want to put my die cut, and I'm going to hold that in place with some washi tape, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutter. I'm going to add some glue to the bottom piece of my card, and I'm going to stick it down. Now I've got a little thin strip of the purple spotty paper, and I'm going to stick that down across the center of my panel. You can see the way the colors are working together. So we've got spots on the balloons, we've got spots on the paper, and I'm using vertical stripes to break the design up a little bit. I've cut the words happy birthday from black cardstock, and I'm using that trick of glue on the back of my hand again to help me glue those down in place. I haven't left myself enough room to use the stamp that has the balloon strings hanging from it, so I'm going to make my own. I'm doing a figure of 8 at the bottom of each of those balloons with a black marker pen, and then I'll just add some lines to connect everything down into the center of the card. Next, I'm going to add some glue to the reverse of the design. So I'm going around the outside of where I've cut the balloon shapes out, and that means that I can glue my little balloons into position. The adhesive that is on the reverse of the balloons can now be pulled off, and don't forget, as I usually do, although I didn't this time, don't forget to add more glue because you want the whole design to stick down, not just the balloons. When we position that over the front of our cart, you can see how nicely those balloons look coloured in, and you can use any of your Nouveau drops, maybe some glittery ones, on the inside of your balloons. Our fifth card is probably the easiest. I've cut down strips of card and paper from the kit, and I've coordinated these with a blue base card, so this is a blue top folding card. Using the circular dies, I've cut out a white base and a little green mirror card frame. And I've also used the green mirror card to cut out two of the words reading happy birthday. This is how the card is going to be layered up, And then I have a small piece of blue card which I'll use as a strip in the centre to break the design down a little bit. This is how the card looks when everything is glued down, and where pieces have hung out over the edges I can simply cut those off. So we have a nice simple card made up of layers. That blue piece doesn't extend all the way across because I thought it'd be a little bit more fun just to have an edge that was different to the edge on the left hand side. I'm going to glue down my sentiment. You could have this at an angle, but I'm going to go with straightforward and hopefully level. Then I'm going to add some tiny dots of glue, and I'm using the olive green stars. I'm going to just take those directly from the container and pop them onto the glue, and then they give a lovely shimmer, a nice finish to the card. I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of all the cards we've made today along with a little music, and until we meet again, take care.